So we'll call this to order. Everybody? Yeah. And then just to review, to go over for tonight, we're going to do now at 5 o'clock our normal meeting. We're going to reports and necessary business and reports. And then we'll do a 5:30. We'll go to the Act 46 discussion, which is required for the state statutes to discuss. So make sure we do that. And then at 6 o'clock we'll go into our community forum. So that necessitates brevity.
You're looking at us when you say that.
Yes, I am.
All right. So we'll start out with our position of any group individuals. Do you want to introduce yourself and do we have something they need to say? Do we have anything they need to sign in about you?
Well, I didn't get the gentleman's name.
Oh, I'm sorry. We got Peter Mann, an Oak Grove parent.
Okay.
I'm Kim Smith with the Wyndham Regional Commission. So I'm here concerning the Estiville boiler.
Okay. And I think we'll go ahead with the consent agenda and then we'll
See.
Yeah, that's what we posted.
So can we have a motion on the agenda and the warrants?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, so then Frank, turning it over to you. Start out.
Good. Okay. Okay?
It's okay.
All right. So I had several things that I did want to cover. So let me just say what they are, and then we'll start with the bill. I wanted to cover financial reporting formats. It's going to give you a fiscal year ending document, and then a year-to-date first quarter. And then those have implications for budget development. So I was hoping for feedback, not necessarily tonight because you got so much to do, but after you have a chance to look at the documents, we can go from there. I also have a budget timeline to share with you. We have a tractor purchase that I want to give you. It's more of an FYI, so I'll share with you a little background on that. And then we have the Estiville project. We also have a brief update on a developing project for Academy's control system. So those are things I wanted to cover in about 10 minutes or less. So let's start with the Academy. I'm sorry, the Estiville boiler. So we have a failed boiler. It's an oil boiler that was well beyond its useful life. It's many years old. I don't know if you recall, but it's at least 30 years old. Failed 2-3 weeks ago. We have several building occupants there that have been dispersed to various locations in the district, but it's really difficult, obviously, on them. They're our early educator service group with Jan Stockman. So communication has been difficult for parents and for the staff, and we want to resolve that. We do have a solution. I've been working with Kim and Wyndham Wood Heat Group. Initially, we just looked at the generic bring in the oil boiler. It was approximately a $10,000 bid. We've got a couple of bids. And then I asked the Wyndham Wood Heat folks if they would be interested in participating, and they said yes. The bottom line of this assessment is you have to spend a fair amount of more money up front, but there's a substantial subsidy that comes with it. And over time, we see the pellet boiler being the lower cost option. So that's what I'm recommending. The metrics, real quickly. Approximately a $40,000 project cost. About $20,000 in subsidies, of which we have some written documents from Wyndham Wood Heat that says it's real money. It's not make-believe. There are some other subsidies that we'll pursue that are more tentative, but we have a $15,000 firm commitment and a very likely $5,000 commitment from Efficiency Vermont and another one of the Clean Energy Development Fund sources. So we're looking at $10,000 for the oil boiler versus a net cost of about $20 for the pellet. But the operating and fuel costs over time make the pellet boiler a better deal from the point of view of the district. So that's what I was intending on moving right along with. And again, it was more of an FYI, but if you have concerns, we can reconsider and look at other options.
You wanted to say something to me before?
Yeah, I would just mention that we're looking at about $900 in fuel savings per year with this by switching over to pellets. So that's just to give you a ballpark estimate of sort of what you're looking at as far as savings. And then there's the broader benefits for supporting the local economy, supporting local jobs and local renewable resources. So.
Any questions that we all have? This doesn't require a vote. It was an FYI, so that we
Right.
could give an opinion if we have one.
Right.
Do we have any opinions, guys?
Yeah,
Good idea?
that's a good opinion.
Well, there you are.
Okay, very good. The other topic with Kim here, maybe she'll have some other comments, but the Academy project, as you know, we had a successful pellet boiler installation on time and on bid. We like that. However, you remember that there's a control component that gets the heat out of the boiler room and into the classroom that wasn't fully developed, and this goes back 3-4 years ago. I'm working with Wyndham Wood Heat again with their excellent resources. Chris Hebb is their mechanical engineer, who is looking at developing a spec for the control system upgrade at the Academy. We don't really have firm estimates at this point, but the good news is that they have the resources to manage the project development, which means to engage contractors. First of all, develop the specification, engage contractors, and then essentially manage the bid process for it. So within the next 3-4 weeks, we hope to have a budgetary estimate I can share with you. I also am hoping that a substantial amount of this project cost will be covered by the Wyndham Wood Heat funding, but that's to be determined. So I'll keep you posted on that. And in the meantime, I know Andy and the group are doing the best they can do to deal with somewhat of an obsolete system. But my understanding is that the boiler is working well, and we've been pleased with that.
Yeah, we have some rooms that are hot, some rooms that are cool. That's not a function of the boiler, it's a function of the control room.
Okay, the third item I wanted to mention is a tractor purchase. This has been a request for, I guess, a couple of years. However, this is at the Academy School. It was not a line item in the capital plan. So this is another FYI. And based on a pretty significant amount of discussion with Andy and Ricky Aethier, the maintenance person at Academy, given the size of the campus that they manage, the extent of dealing with winter weather that we went through last year, and the opportunity to create a safer environment coming and going to buses and cars, and then the opportunity to save money over time. This is not going to be like the pellet project where we spend less in the immediate period because we have to buy a tractor. But I am recommending that we do accept the request to buy a relatively small compact tractor that has functions for pushing some snow, but primarily salting and sanding walkways, pushing back the big piles that we have to make the phone call to our contractor to come in with the heavy equipment. We'll also have a mower that down the road, we might take over that function that we contract out. And then every spring, we have the occasional flooding of the field. There's a fair amount of debris cleanup that's required. So there's a variety of opportunities for our people to do the work ourselves if we had the right tools. And we've looked at a used option, and we've looked at new. And the difference would suggest that given that we need the implements to make this worthwhile, the blade, the sander, the salter, we can't go out and buy a used system that has all of those things. So the new system seems to be the most feasible. The cost difference just for the tractor is only about $5,000 between a new and a used. So when we put the new system together with the low bid that we received, with all the implements, we're looking at about $24,000. And when I look at that in the context of the maintenance budget, we will have to set some reprioritization of what we do this fiscal year to make it work within our resources, but I think we can do that. So I'm recommending that we acquire this tractor and give our folks at Academy the ability to keep up with campus management.
The question is something that could be utilized occasionally at the other schools. Should we think about getting a trailer to move to the other schools?
Well, initially, you probably know the other campuses better than I do because I'm still just getting through the buildings. But Green Street and Oak Grove have such a smaller footprint. Right. So I think that our principals would know more than I do in terms of the opportunity. But initially, I do see the Academy campus as being sort of unique to this need. But maybe we do look at that.
Sounds like a small bucket loader plus the attachments of the wood.
Yeah, just to put it in perspective, just the sidewalk alone that we now do with the snow blower, it's 858 feet. And the snow blower means you have to make it wide enough, you have to go do 3 passes. So 858 times 3, and then to go around the building, the walking path around the building is, that doesn't get plowed by the big plow, is 1,710 feet, and that requires 3 passes. And then we have a sander that's sort of like a push mower that spreads the sand out. So we're looking at a few miles, and basically, and that's for every storm, or if it snows over time, you got to keep doing this. So we have
the White House path too.
what the White House, yeah. So we have someone coming in, depending on when it's storming, sometimes at 3 or 4 in the morning, so we can actually open the doors on time, or it sometimes takes the entire day to do this for a custodian. And then last year he suffered an injury while doing it, so it really sort of brought the issue home for us.
You mentioned it's not in the capital plan, Frank, and my understanding is we don't really have a capital plan.
We don't have a formal plan tonight.
Yeah, and this is exactly why we need one, so that we can make these plans. At $25,000 seems like a lot, particularly when we're still under contract with someone to come and remove that snow. And it's never been something that we needed to think about significantly before. Last year was a heavy snow, clearly, but it's usually shoveling the roof that is the unexpected and anticipated charge. And I don't think we should set a precedent of just buying capital equipment in the middle of the school year, because it seems like it might be helpful or save some time. If this is a long-term problem and it's something we need to deal with, then we should create a capital plan and put it on.
I do think this has been an issue that precedes me, and the request, I think Andy made the request during budget deliberation last year, but we didn't codify it as I say, as a line item. But I was certainly aware that it's a need, and it is very common to a campus the size of the Academy Schools for personnel to have that sort of a resource. So it's not at all an unusual request.
No, the unusualness is that it wasn't planned for, even though we anticipated the need. And again, I think it's a bad practice to spend $25,000 on something when it's not in the budget or on plan. So I encourage you to put together a capital plan and include it.
Now, if we bought new, would the tractor have a warranty on it?
Yeah.
And is it capable of having both the sander and the plow parts on it at the same time, so that they're only making one pass?
Yeah.
Taking care of both at the same time?
And this is a small compact tractor, so it's definitely not going to replace the contracted service folks that come in with a heavy equipment. But yes, it's basically a blade underneath the tractor, and it will have a sander or salter on it. Yeah.
So just to clarify, at the school level, we've talked about it for a couple of years. And to be honest with you, I've not acted on it beyond discussions because there just hasn't been a time where we could put that in the budget and feel good about it because of the amount of money. Like last year, we were trying to stay as close to zero as possible, and this just didn't, just wouldn't have fit in the budget at that time. But it's been an ongoing issue, and what really exacerbated last year was while doing the snow blowing, you have to do quite a bit of lifting of the machine, going through the snowbanks and so forth, and he actually pulled the groin muscle and suffered an injury, and we were really stuck. And then it just really, came to the point home that we really can't continue to do it this way. But if he is injured and cannot do it, then we have a real problem. So
to clarify, we don't actually have approval or denial of this. This is an FYI as well.
I would say if you have objections, I would take that as a sense of direction. But it's like the pellet boiler. If you didn't have objections, we would move ahead pretty quickly on having a solution ready to go for the season that's right around the corner.
And so, also to clarify, Dave, your objection is not that the tractor is a terrible idea.
I don't know if it's a terrible idea or not. I think it probably isn't a terrible idea.
Right, but rather for you, if the objection is more that it should come through the whole budget process and be part of a capital
Yeah,
plan.
and especially given that we don't know how much snow shoveling we're going to need to do, we don't know what the costs are going to be for the color. And I don't know how much we spent. We won't have that problem this year, but you had to replace a valve or controller or something last year that was thousands of dollars or tens of thousands. A new controller or some mix of controllers had to go in to make the boiler work to get us through last winter. That's not going to happen this year, but things come up. And I think that's the purpose of the capital plan, so you can plan ahead for these things and not just pop up with them.
So-
If we take it out of our reserve, which we have to do through the budget for it, then I thought the reserve was supposed to be for things that were pressing, other things that would be a good idea that just didn't get budget.
Okay, so all of that.
Were you,
Done?
I didn't hear the part where you said you were taking it from a reserve. I thought I heard you say you were taking it from an established budget and then you reprioritize. Is that
Yeah,
true?
when this came to me from Frank, I said, so where is it in the budget? When you look at the maintenance and operations, we clearly have money there. You have to reprioritize what other costs from that budget. I think we can cover it.
Okay. So would you like us to do an actual vote?
I think so. Given the discussion, it would be helpful just to be sure, that I'm not moving forward without a consensus. I think. So I guess it would be helpful to have a motion to approve purchase of a tractor.
And so I'll entertain, if anyone would like to make a motion to approve the purchase of a new or used tractor, depending on their deliberations.
I think we should clarify either new or used.
Our recommendation is a new.
So a motion then would be to approve a new tractor for use at Academy School, which was
$25,000.
approximately $25,000, which would come out of the existing budget with shifts of priorities.
Can I just clarify one point before you vote the motion? Originally, when we were discussing it and after he suffered an injury, we thought we would buy a used tractor, and I was somewhat naive, thinking we'd probably be in the $7,000 or $8,000 range, so it'd be a very different situation. But we looked into that. There really aren't $7,000 or $8,000 tractors out there that would do this work. And then we looked into used, and they're like coveted machines. They're in good shape when they're several years old. We found 7-year-old tractor that was only without the equipment was $5,000 to $8,000 less than brand new. So it's sort of just the evolution of how we get to where we're at.
So I didn't actually take a motion from you guys. Is there someone that wants to make a motion?
I would make a motion to the fact that we approve the advice of Frank Ricker as to purchase a tractor for Academy School somewhere in the neighborhood of $25,000 and maybe a new tractor.
And a
Second.
Todd's doing a second. So any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, good. Good discussion.
Actually, what was the part after in the neighborhood of $25,000?
Something like that. So
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think we have to throw that in.
I'll just put a period.
Or words to that effect is fine.
Okay, moving on still with Frank, who's taking up all of your time on programming.
Sorry.
I think the discussion was well played.
There we go.
Okay.
So the document that I just handed out is fiscal year 15, the June report that has gone to the auditors. I also have a first quarter year-to-date. I'll hand that out in just a little bit. But the primary purpose, I've already given you an overview of fiscal year 15 and the resources. Primary purpose of this is just to start talking about formats for capturing information and analyzing it, particularly as we move ahead into the budget development process. So if I could just very quickly review what you're looking at here, and then I know we're not going to have time for questions, but I certainly will be looking for you for feedback maybe at the next meeting. So the first page is a one-page summary of the Brattleboro Town School District. You see, if you're just looking at that first page, you're looking at a $15 million budget plan, 15,513. It says that we spent 15,147, and we have a $365,000 favorable variance against the budget. That's about a 2%, and it allows us to look at a program overview. So this is organized by first program and then by the functions within a program. So what I did send everyone the state's requirement for program, function, object, account coding. So that's what this follows. Okay, so let me just very quickly say that at the very top page here, you're looking at the operating fund. That's the one. I'm still on this first page one. The operating fund that the taxpayers fund for us. And then the next line you see there is regular instruction. That's program 100. Okay, so in instruction, we are organized to provide direct instruction. That's the first line. Of course, you see it's where most of the activity is. $6.9 million plan on the first page, $7 million spent. This is what Ron reminds us frequently, that we typically have most of our spending in instruction, and we compare favorably to the state. The support services is the next Functional group, this is where we're supporting students. See the plan, 737,000, we spent 728,000, very close to the plan. All the way to the far right shows that that's a 5% of our total spending. So I know we don't have a lot of time here, but I just pointing out that you have direct instruction, you have what occurs within the regular programs, and then as we drop down almost to the bottom of that same single page, you have special education. That's program number 2. Program number 1 is direct ed. Program number 2 is special ed. You see the code there is 0200, 3.8 million. This is the source, the primary source of our favorable variance. 339,000 was favorable against the budget plan. Again, I know Ron has made reference to that many times. We can talk about the implications there, but the final number on the page is food service, program 900. And we have a little bit of activity there. Primarily it's fresh fruits and vegetables. So that's a summary, easy to understand, and it puts relationships between instruction versus support versus overhead versus...
The 339,000 from special ed, we get to keep that?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to add that to our fund balance, which is nice.
We're not going to spend it.
Yeah.
We're not going to spend it.
No, I thought that the state sent, or whoever sent it, whichever grants we get it from, if we don't spend it, then they, if we don't need it.
That is mostly true, especially for what Paul and Lyle manage in Title I, Title IIA. There are restrictions. But on this one, we get less subsidy because they subsidize how much we spend. But when
So next year, that won't be there.
That's right. So pages 1 to 8 of this handout is the format I would like to move forward in the budget process. It's what we've talked about. I have reviewed this with Mark and the Supervisory Union Board. I have reviewed this with the VUHS Finance Committee, and those groups have said, rather than looking at our 20 and 30 page, very detailed documents, we would like to work within the broad categories of instruction, of student support, of the administration, the plant and operations, and the debt service and capital planning that we need to do. So that's the format of what you see here. The difference between the 1 page and the 8 page is that you can find the school in the 8 page. In the 1 page, it's just, we are one school system here. Here is what it looks like for 15 million. The 8 page format is, you have the same information, but you have it for each school. So I'll just give you one example, and then I know my time is up. So if we just kind of spun over to page, let's go to page 5. And page 5 is going to show Academy School. So we end up right in the middle of the page, Oak Grove at 1.6 million, and then we start looking at Academy School. All of these are formatted the same way. So we have regular instruction, just like we talked about at the summary page, and you can see that's where most of our money is. This gives you a little more detail. It says that we're giving you detail around salary, benefits, repairing the building, and our supplies in the classroom, and our equipment, and so on. But you see the same familiar format. Instruction, support services as you flip the page. Then you get into the plant, and I kind of chose this to illustrate that if you look at page 6, Academy has a plant operations budget of $400,000, and you see that where we have repairs and maintenance, $156,000 a budget. We did spend more in that category last year, primarily because of what you mentioned, David, the failure of some of the controllers, the heavy snow load on the roofs that we had to shovel, and those sorts of things. But we're not expecting that this year. We think, as you recall, we know we have a much lower fuel oil cost, and that's going to help pay for the tractor and things like that. So there's the quick overview, and maybe next meeting or following meeting, I can get your feedback on it.
Your homework is to take a look at the old system and compare it to this, and hopefully you feel like this represents what we need.
The detail will always be available. Yeah. That's it. And I will just hand out the FY16 first quarter. It's the same information on where we are today.
The question I'll have for you, I know already, is it's regular instruction, but the question that comes up from the town voters is what's the regular instruction, exactly what does that encompass, and is it the extras that we talk about, the after-school programming and the supporting the intervention program and all of that. So there's a way to break those out into that category.
Very good.
So that'll be my heads up to you.
Good. Okay.
So I said 5:50, we move on to Act 46, and we haven't actually talked about anything else yet. Maybe we should go over by 5 minutes and make sure we get any of these that are, there's action needed. How do we do this, Ron?
Administrative reports, I was thinking we're going to be pretty short. Yes, Policy Council, report on that.
I can include that in my administrative report and make it brief.
WSES Finance, I'm not sure.
Frank pretty much covered what we did. The portion was the condensed version of the financial report presentation.
Then the diversity, I know Todd has some information to pass out, so that'll be brief. And then when we get to the 1% applications, you've reviewed the 1% applications electronically, so I'm hoping those will be appropriate. Act 250 applications passed, preschool project should be passed.
Okay, so, but we still do, we need to get back on this.
This is a information.
No, we have to.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead with Todd. Did
So
you have anything to say about
The
it?
Diversity Committee is hosting an event on Thursday, October 29th at Bands, and it's this idea of combining music, math, and movement. And there's going to be games and some songs and activities around those three topics, and I'll be closing the evening with the group Jam. So
What's the name of the group?
it's me, I'm the group. This flyer just talks about, I don't know, Ron, is it the first event of this year?
It is the first.
New to the committee. So that's Thursday, October 29th, 6 to
And
7:30.
this is all age.
Dinner provided.
And we're hoping that the principals have started to share that in the newsletters and such. You know, we usually have a good turnout.
Energy Committee, we skipped, is there anything in that? From the Tutor? I'm going to skip administrative reports yet and hit what we have to do as action needed. The 1%, any comments or thoughts on this?
We approve them as recommended. This is the end of the money. Yeah.
Second.
Any discussion? And all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Act 250, application action needed. This is Act 250. application.
Yeah, that's pretty brief. This is a school impact questionnaire. It's essentially a project by BDCC, Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, and GL Precision. 2 lots, 2 units. They estimate the number of students as 35 students over a 5-year period. A projection of 100 jobs in the next 5 years, which is nice. Impact to the elementary, middle school, and high school. 35 students over 5 years will have no negative impact at all. So it's one of these that it's a great project, and will have no negative impact on the schools. So I would ask you to support this.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Preschool partnership agreements?
So these are the annual contracts that we need signed by all the districts that participate. And I'll just read off just one signature by the board chair. The partnerships that we have are Brattleboro Center for Children, Brattleboro Nursery School, Garland School, Grammar School, Hilltop Montessori School, Horizon Early Learning Program, Little Red House, Mulberry Bush Early Learning Center, Neighborhood Schoolhouse, Vernon Preschool, Westby Nursery, and Winston Charlie Center. So as you remember, this is where we get to count 46% of each student as part of our annual daily membership, which is good because it provides more revenue for the school district. It also, more importantly, provides 10 free hours of daycare for the parents with children in these programs. And it also links these programs with our district in terms of professional development and service when they can. So it's a great program.
So we're going to need an actual motion from the board.
No, as long as they agree that you're signing these in their behalf, on their behalf.
I'd like a formal
Yeah, we
motion.
should.
Formal motion that's okay, that I've already started signing. So I'll stop signing until you give me a formal motion.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. So I'll continue signing.
It's like building an airplane in flight.
Putney Central School Food Program discussion, next agenda items, other. All right, so I really hate cutting off administrative reports. So before we get to Act 46, I guess we'll do some administrative report.
I would just say about the Putney Food Service Program, they shifted to from a contracted service to their own operation. It's going well. We have had discussions with Putney along with Guilford in terms of the Universal Meals Program. So I think what I'd like to try to do is devote more time at a future meeting to talk about that, and give you kind of a heads up of where we're going with Universal Meals.
Yeah, Margaret had, I missed the hiring council meeting in September when I was away, and Margaret was there, and Alice Laughlin from Putney came and did a presentation. And Margaret was really impressed, an email basically requesting or encouraging us to look into it. And Alice, the Putney people are happy to have us, so we can just go up and have a look and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And both Dave and I have been asked to attend the Fit
Fit and Healthy Kids Coalition meeting.
So perhaps we could put, both of these kind of have to do with a similar topic.
Yeah.
So maybe we could do that, and there were some items that they're going to discuss at that meeting, which the end ended up being December 1st. Well, I passed it on to Barb.
It's first
on our
December.
next agenda.
Yep.
Items, so maybe we could do them together. Remember? Because there's stuff that I wanted feedback from the principals before we went.
Yep.
I think there's good things happening that people should hear about, that you could tell us. No, it's burritos, you guys are all done. So that's been moved to the next agenda. So now can I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so you each have 2 minutes. Go, Andy. I'm joking a little bit, but not really.
Okay, this is going to be like the guy doing the sport on TV then. So you have a report here. Well, that's coming around. I'll start with this grant that we got. It's from the Vermont Arts Council, and it's a $2,500 grant to support a 10-day map-making residency with visual artist Molly Burke. We'll be working with our fourth grade classrooms, all 3 of them. And that will pay for her time in materials to do this map-making program. So I wanted to make you aware of that. Quickly, the report, you can read most of this. Just want to point out that our spring reduced percentage is down to about 59%. And that represents 215 students in the school that qualified. However, we have 20 that are pending. That is, that they got free lunch last year, and they've not turned in the paperwork yet. There's a deadline of, there's a date, they had to do that by in October, and we're trying to get those families to submit the paperwork so their students can be counted there as well. You can see on the bottom of the page some of the events that have been going on at school. Our after-school program has started. One thing I just want to point out that we're doing and be part of our presentation tonight is the drama program. We're now at the point where we'll have some type of drama program going on from September until the end of May, either in school or in our partnership with NUIT. We're really proud of that. Great opportunities for students. You go to page 3. On the left side are students that entered this year. And, of course, the names have been taken off. It tells you from where they've come. You can see the first Hilltop and Putney. There's some St. Mike's in there, a couple of homeschool kids. Student from Tunisia and one from India, which makes for a really well-rounded and diverse group. And on the right, students that left us and where they have gone.
Did you hear Mark's comment?
No.
Nobody went to Tunisia.
No one went to Tunisia.
We only brought them in, we sent them back.
So we have, I think, 25 or so ESL kids this year. Our largest group of students in ESL is in kindergarten and first grade. I think we have 10 or 11 K and 1 right now. The numbers always get smaller because the program in Mid-Heidi Pancake does a wonderful job. The program is so effective that the students test out. And last school year, for example, we did not send any ESL students. We did not send any students who needed ESOL services to BAMS. All the students who left us had already tested out. So, yeah, we're really proud of the program and the work she does.
Is this the enrollment number now, the October number that goes to the state? This is like the recorded number?
Right. Yeah. So normally our reports, this would have come to you at our first meeting of the month, but this is the first meeting of the month. Yeah. Thank you.
Mark?
Yeah. I got one for you, Jack. Okay, try to make this quick. Mary's bringing the reports around. So on the first page, after student attendance numbers, we have the first section for after-school programs and student events going on in the building. Our after-school tutoring program started up this week. We have 38 students participating. That's the first line item. As you can see, we've offered a lot of opportunities throughout the fall for students with the walking field trips downtown. We've been able to see a number of different artistic performances, which have been a great way to start the year. On Friday, in 2 days, we'll have our first whole school PBIS celebration. I'm not going to get into the details because it's still a surprise to students, but it's a Harvest Festival theme. Report out on that in November. Below that, our student leadership initiatives are right in the beginning stages. Our restorative justice group, approximately 15 students involved right now, just getting underway. Our student senate has had their first meeting, first 2 meetings of the year. And our peer mentoring group, we had an initial meeting last week and hoping to develop that over the course of the next 2 weeks. As Andy spoke to, the New England Youth Theater Town Theater program is just about ready to get underway. And that'll be getting started on November 5th through town schools. I just want to say, one of our models is we started a drama program last spring with Diane Clouette. And what we decided to do this year, she's going to work
closely with NEYT through the town school program this fall and use that as her, not only to work with kids, but as her own professional development in terms of putting on productions. And then that will also help her enhance our own drama program as we develop that this winter and into the spring. Back page, a couple of things I want to highlight. Our open house. We had 73% of families represented at open house. It was a really nice evening. We had a cookout, served dinner. First time we've done that, and it was a hit. We were very proud of that night. We served over 400 people food that night. The Green Street School tag sale, which I tried to promote at the last meeting, we made over $3,000.
Right.
It was a great event. Lots of people coming through and really successful. And then towards the end, you can see some of the different evenings that we've offered for parents. Early literacy evening, we had 8 families attend. Tonight, right now, we're doing a presentation on how to handle challenging behaviors at home. Greg Stoller is presenting that. And then tomorrow night, we're doing an informational meeting on Destination Imagination. This is a new program that we're bringing to Green Street School. It's an interactive, team-building, academic problem-solving program, enrichment program. Tracy Benet-Perrin is going to be offering that along with a parent, Sheila Humphreys. So more information to come, but really excited about getting that off the ground.
Oak Grove, while we're waiting for that, I'll just highlight a few things. October 7th was International Walk to School Day, so we decided to do many of our students do walk to school or bike to school, so the majority of our students are already walkers, and families that advertised, so there was a lot of walking to school that day. But after all school seeing, we decided the entire school took a walk together. We walked from here down to Fort Dummer, not to the park, but just a little field where the ball fields are. And we had some of the kids drumming along the way, and we received apple donations from Putney Orchard, Green Mountain. The police were there to help us cross the streets safely and stuff, so we had a really great time. Out of the building for maybe an hour, maybe a little bit more. A lot of education out of the building, as I like to call it, as opposed to field trips. So we've had kindergarten and first grade who have both visited apple orchards. Third grade has gone up to Fort Dummer and done some outdoor exploring up there. Fifth graders, our 4, 5, and 6, as well as fifth graders, have had 2 opportunities to do some theater trips down to the Lodges. And then tomorrow, our literacy, Lexi Oliver has a small literacy group. They just finished reading a book called No Summit Out of Sight. And it's about a true story based on a young man who climbed 7 summits. And so tomorrow they're taking a hike up Mount Manna over in New Hampshire. So really excited for them. This Friday is our family movie night. We were going to do an outdoor movie night. And they decided that it would be a little chilly, so people are going to bring their blankets and pillows and lawn chairs, and we're going to have family movie night in here. And students voted, and we're watching Star Wars. So I'm not even seeing one, so that's either I won't know the difference between one or we're on now. I don't know, but we're watching Star Wars, so come on over. It's free. It's free over. And then if you parked out back, the new shed, the old shed was torn down, and so they're putting in the footings for the new 10 by 14 shed that will have garage doors and hold a lot of our equipment and stuff, so we're really excited about that. On our monthly report, this again is from our data from September, so some of our after-school programs are not listed that are currently going. Our computer club is up and running, but you do see we still have bowling, violin, students participating in chorus. We will have also NEYT students. Maple Leaf, I believe there's 12 or 13 students right now that have signed the contract to be involved with the Maple Leaf Writing Project. Our fall open house was a big hit in September, and then we have our curriculum night harvest dinner that we have a date for November 19th. That right now, that's what we're in the process of getting ready and planning for that. And I'll stop.
Marty, I don't see the number, your total enrollment number.
The very bottom, 220, the first page.
Oh, the bottom, okay.
Yeah.
Last year was at the top.
So, yeah, that's my comment to you all that I just say every time, that I want it to be the same report. So I don't have to think.
Since the last meeting, we've had 4 students move and 2 students move in.
I feel like I say these things to my children at home.
And Jerry has passed around on a Google Doc, a document. The ones that came out this week was revised from the previous one, so. We're making progress toward that end, I'm sure.
By next time, it'll be good.
It's like my daughter saying, we're almost
So by the
late.
time we're done with being on the board,
Yeah.
it'll be all set.
Deb.
So hopefully you received your monthly report. We did have policy council Monday night. You did get it electronically?
No.
Okay, I'll make sure that happens this week so that you get a copy.
Do you want a copy of our Google Doc?
No, she's got a federal one too.
But yours was modeled after ours, so I think we're in good shape. We did have, as I said, policy council Monday night. We now meet the third Monday of the month, and we have a small group at the moment. That's pretty typical. We'll be bringing on a new crew starting in November, and when the parents become official voting members, they will then bring forward to you a slate of recommendations for community representatives. And I can tell you a little bit of foreshadowing that Chad Simmons, who is the local Building Bright Futures Regional Coordinator, has expressed interest, and I've spoken with him, and he would be a great addition to the council as a early childhood representative. Janice Stockman just stepped down. She fulfilled her 3-year term as the early childhood specialist, and we thanked her for her great efforts. And if you have any recommendations, we're always welcoming community reps to join the board. We did have our first of the 5-year federal review last week on Wednesday and Thursday. I don't have an official report, but I did accompany the reviewer. We only had one reviewer who visited every site and every classroom with his environmental health and safety hat on, and he was he's had many years of experience as a reviewer, and consequently I felt was very fair and reasonable and understood the big picture, which has not always been the case. And he made comments to me that led me to believe that we will get a very good report. The staff worked really hard to have our environment, our classrooms and our buildings, our environments, and all of the records sparkling, clean and perfect, and it really showed. He said, you have some very beautiful facilities here, so you should know that. We went to Canal Street, we were at SD, we were at the Infant Toddler Center in the high school, and we also went out to our sites in Westminster. So I have no idea when the final report will be issued, but I know that if there were grave concerns or great concerns, I would have known about it almost instantly, and that was not anything that I felt was happening. And then I attended the National Head Start Association Leadership Conference at the end of September. Part of that conference is to bring messages forward to our congressmen and our senators. I did visit with Patrick Leahy's representative, with Bernie Sanders' representative, and also with Peter Welch's, and we are very lucky, as I've said to you, in Vermont, and actually in the country, there is now bipartisan support for the continuation of Head Start and Early Head Start. And I was there at the time that they were deciding to get a continuing resolution. And so we'll know in December, but one of the messages that was pretty consistent with the 3 offices I visited is that not only are we secure, but there actually may be some additional funding coming for Head Start, which would be great because we've been level funded now for a number of years, and the only way we can give increases to staff is if we receive a COLA. And the message that we brought forward as a unified national group was that we really need to raise the salaries, and we're seeing it at EES. We have turnover because people feel that they're stymied. They've just reached a plateau and they can't make more, and so they're leaving for other jobs that pay a little bit more. So hopefully we can address that in the very near future.
You like an executive session later on?
I would.
Yeah.
So then, it's now only 27 minutes past when we're supposed to do this, but the official Act 46 portion of the meeting has got to start, and we're going to do that in a few minutes because we have some votes to make. It's part of the process for the whole Act 46, and we have to make sure we have public comment, so we want to make sure people know that. And this is all goes with that. So we have done, as part of this, actually I think I need to read through this, we have already done, just so everyone here knows where we're at. To get started, with the initial steps was to establish a study committee, study group, and we have made that vote before to move to form a study group, so we've done that part. Number 2 under this list of initial steps was appoint representatives to the committee. We've also done that, and I believe it was Jill, Dave, and Kim. Yes, this is what I couldn't remember.
I have Mark. So Kim is a...
Okay, and Kim, you're the alternate. Is that what?
Did we actually vote? Because I didn't think we voted, because we weren't sure how many seats were going to be.
That could be a good question. Jane, do you remember if we have an actual vote in the minutes that we said, but if not, we need to do that?
Well, we voted to join the committee, but I don't think we voted on the membership.
So that leads to the discussion we had from the supervisory union meeting the other night, where it became a question of how many people make up the study committee. How is that composed? And I did you all get this from our meeting that we had as board chairs yesterday to have some clarification? So just to read out loud here, that all of the people in the supervisory union have to do this, all of the boards, and we have already, every one of the boards has now voted to join the study group. So that part's done. The composition of the study committee is outlined in Title 16, Section 706. Membership's based on a percentage of ADM, including BUHS students, and the 6 town districts of participation in voting rights. Brattleboro Union High School does not have participation or voting rights unless Brattleboro Town School Board, that's us, decides to appoint Brattleboro Union High School board members to the committee or grants them ex officio status with full participation rights but no voting rights. It is not recommended that the committee have more than 12 to 15 members. So then we looked at the number of students and committee size. We came up with 3 scenarios, and they're listed out in what Amy, I have one more copy of this if somebody needs it. The 3 scenarios could be option 1, 10 voting members, 10 to 14 participating members. Option 2 would be 9 voting members with 9 to 13 participating members. Option 3 would be 7 with 9. And the differences on that, if you look for us, Brattleboro Town would have 3 in option 1, 2, and 3. We don't, that doesn't change. But in option 1, there'd be 3 voting members from BUHS board that would be from the Brattleboro representation, not just the board, but what actually comes from Brattleboro, which was a question that we had at the supervisory meeting the other day. In option 2, it would be 2 voting members coming from Brattleboro. And in option...
3 again from Brattleboro Town, but it would only be 2 from BUHS.
Right. Okay. And then in option 3, we would have BUHS be just ex officio, because that's up to us by the ruling of this. We do not have to have BUHS come in. Now, the discussion that we had yesterday as board chairs looking at all this is that BUHS, BAM's board obviously has that experience of working already with various towns sending together and on the board. And it's been strongly recommended by central office staff to have the BUHS board members as either voting members or ex officio members for their experience of the unified board.
So the difference between having 3 BUHS and 2 BUHS is because the number is not a full 6.
Yes.
The ADM doesn't come out with a whole number, so either we can do it either way.
So the 9 is nice because it's an odd number.
Yeah.
Not that, I mean, we hope that we come up with consensus all the time, but, you know, it is recommended that we have an odd number. I don't think you lose much by only limiting it to 2 BUHS voting members. Again, in that scenario, with the 9 total, we could also offer ex officio to the smaller districts, but they wouldn't vote, but they could be part of the discussion. I think it's helpful.
That was another part of the discussion I thought was interesting for us yesterday. It was who all gets to speak. Obviously, the public is a part of this process, and there's public forums as part of this. But as we found in the supervisory union, with a lot of people with a lot of opinions, there's a lot of time, and it's hard to get through a lot of decisions.
That's one of the things that the committee, the study determines. We don't.
Yeah, right.
No,
we don't-
that's not my point. The point is that the ex officio members, because I had said at the supervisory union the other night something that's not exactly correct in my thought process, that any of us could come, and that's still true. Anybody from anywhere could come and listen to the study group. And there'll be a time for public comment that would be established by the study group. But the people who would be then the majority of the time speaking would not be any board members. You know, it'd be the actual ones that are named from our board, and it would be the ex officio. So they would also speak, and participate in the discussion, but they would not vote. That's the official definition of ex officio.
So we're hoping that we can make a decision now.
Right now, before we start.
Yeah, I think that's fine, we should decide. My only question is how we select the BUHS boards, and I suggest we invite them all to express their interest, not try to decide or ask around to recommend that we invite them to express their interest and then choose the 2.
And one of the things we also talked about yesterday is that this is a committee study group that's going to have to meet fairly regularly and quite soon. As we kind of threw out a date that we thought would probably start this whole group off. Yesterday.
That's different than the dates that we
Yeah,
set
yeah.
up.
Yes.
2 reasons for that. We don't think we're going to have the state information until that week, so to be able to process it, we need a little time. And there were some conflicts with people on the identified study committee group. So we recommended November 12th.
And quite honestly, I mean,
And Putney, not at the.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at least weekly, at least bi-weekly, and probably weekly. And it's going to be heavy for November and December in order to meet any deadlines and decisions.
Well,
if
again,
we want
that's up to the
them.
committee to decide.
No, but that's just a reality. That's, the committee is going to decide, Dave, yes. But the reality is if you're going to meet, the study group has to look to see if the preferred option is something that wants to be considered or not. The preferred option deadline is around January 20th.
No, the vote for
The
third option
accelerated.
is July 1st, so the deadline is the last day in May to warrant to vote on it.
I
It's
guess
not,
you can
there's
look
no-
Yeah, and I think that's what would be determined by the study committee.
and again, the
That's a
study
good point.
committees may determine it, so.
That's a good point, but I think still that the reality is out there that, you know, November and December, if you're really busy on something, this is going to probably start up and move a bit in those months.
So do we have consensus on the 9, the number 9? Yes.
We should vote, or we should
So
say.
I think we should need to have an official motion and then a discussion. So do I have a motion
I
on?
move that we select 2 or invite the UHS members to apply to serve on the committee and the secretary, a total of 5 from Brattleboro.
Any discussion? Because we've put two things kind of in that motion, but it kills it all off at one time, moving quickly. Is there any discussion on that? Whether we want, that's the process we want to take and that's the number we want?
Is that like usually how it goes? You lump things together like that? Because is that some change in protocol?
No.
We have, this is so
No, to
completely
invite to
No, I mean,
choose
that's a
them.
good way to see their interests and their availability, yeah.
We've never had to do anything like this, so there's
Yeah,
no protocol on this.
David, it was invite 2 BUHS members.
Invite the UHS board members from Brattleboro to apply, or to express their interest. And we would choose to.
And study committee.
Quick Yes.
question. If we don't get 2 UHS board members,
We need a new motion.
We have an interest by
Okay.
at least 2.
And that, would- just for clarification point, we would have to have that done before the November
Right.
12th meeting. So that would move along quickly. So did we have a second, right? Do we have any more discussion? All in favor? Okay, then the official other portion is that we have to set a budget for the committee. It says, with the advice of the superintendent Ron here, the board shall establish a budget and shall fix the number of persons to serve on the study committee that prepares the report required. So we've already fixed the number, but we need to establish a budget.
So the state is recommending a total budget of 20,000, which is supported by a grant, so it doesn't cost the district anything. I don't know that we'll need that, but I think it's safe to apply for it, and then whatever we don't use, there's 3 incremental options, the 5,000, 10,000, and 20,000. But I think it makes sense to apply for the 20,000 if we feel like we don't need it. Again, the study committee is going to decide that, then we can just turn back the money. There's no adverse impact on any local costs.
What's it go toward?
A facilitator, a report. Well, I think at some parts of this, we're going to need some support for that. A lot of it's dealing with the state in terms of applications for, writing reports and,
The articles of agreement require a fair amount of research depending on what the committee decides. So a lot of legal aspects to, essentially you're creating a new entity, and it could be any number of different scenarios. So there's a great deal of work that can be done.
And there's some financial stuff that may be able to be helped along. Frank would love to spend more hours on it.
I'm sure.
So there needs to be some help. So can I have a motion then from someone about approving a budget of up to, asking for the full 20, or 25?
yeah, proposed budget not exceeding $20,000.
Sure, I'll
Second on that?
second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So then the only other part that I wanted to make sure we say out loud to everybody for the Act 46 is that it's a process. It'll go, this isn't for us as much as just for public knowledge, but it goes to the study group. The study group's meetings will be open to the public and announced. I would anticipate us having another forum or so on that sort of decision later on, yeah. And if some of it's required. So there'll be more information as we go forward. There is also a Google Doc that I think all of you got the link to that I started to be able to compare programs.
So that one.
Is it, it's more all the time? Okay. So we can kind of compare. One of the things we realized as supervisor union meetings that we worry a lot about Brattleboro, and rightly so, because that's what we're supposed to. But there's, this would cause you to look at everybody, and there's different programs in different schools and different budgets. So we've created something to try to start looking and comparing.
So, where can I get the position to do?
What is the?
Oh,
yeah.
So actually, Jill, we need to vote, we need to formally say who's going to be on our.
Oh, yeah, we haven't done that too. Before we do that, Dave, then
What do we have to do?
we haven't formally made a motion to say who is going to be our 3 representatives. Is that to the study group?
Okay, who has expressed interest? What are we doing?
Everybody but Todd, because Todd said he was
I'm
thinking it's too
deeply,
busy.
deeply interested.
Deeply interested?
No, but I just can't do it.
Okay, so we'll say it for, that's a good way to put it. All right, so then, 1, 2, 3, 4, is there anybody who feels like they want to be an alternate? That they're...
Well, is there a prohibition that, we can have 4, but only 3 of those members vote,
We have to know who's the one that's going to vote.
but wouldn't the alternate have the voting rights if one of the other 3 primaries ever show up?
Well, Jill, we could have 4 votes, except we just passed a motion to have 2 each.
So we can't do that, do we?
Yeah. We'd have to do
But
both.
I think the only other thing is that the one who is not the official wouldn't be allowed to talk. We'd have to like pass a note. Or no? Yeah, no.
Well, ex officio can talk.
But the other times. it's
Yeah, I mean, I think
we weren't.
what you decided last time that I wrote down, you'd have 3 of you as voting members, and I had 1 person as an alternate.
So if one of the 3 voting cannot make that.
And the alternate takes that as well.
votes.
Right.
So
But
only
the alternate can go.
the alternate go to all the meetings and stay apprised, which makes sense.
All right, so who did we name as the alternate in your note?
I had Kim as the alternate,
Is that still right?
but I don't.
Do we just do an official motion?
That's fine.
So let's make this an official motion, that we would have Dave, Mark, and Jill be the official, with Kim as the alternate, and Todd welcome to come anytime he can make it. Second,
Second, sure.
discussion?
I would just say if there's any difference there in terms of somebody wanting to be a representative, we should hammer that out.
Say it again?
Are you all right, Kim?
It's fine.
That's what I think you're saying. All right, so, all in favor? Aye, good.
Well, I didn't actually, I don't think we got the motion in second.
That we would be, it'd be Mark, Dave, and me as the official representatives, with Kim being the alternate and Todd coming as the...
But we need somebody to say, I move.
I did. I
Oh,
said I-
okay.
yeah.
And who's second?
I think Mark seconded.
I second.
Okay, thank you.
So we're not too...
Only 15 minutes left. Go to
No more track.
Yeah.
Okay, so now at this point, we move into town report, and we'll take like 2 minutes. People that are welcome, everybody.
Oh, please help yourself to cider,
Cookie.
homemade cookies that we take.
I made them separate.
Some nice and neat. We should probably do about that.